from someone that has a lot of experience and a lot of skill in communicating and convincing people, how do you think these skills can be of help to FinOps, and how has it been helpful for you, like in your career? And you can explain a bit about your story, because I think it's very interesting.
Yeah. As you've said, I do have some experience in debating. I've done university debating and debating at large for years in my past, both like from Tel Aviv University, where I studied, and generally more globally. And in there, I won the Israeli championship, the European championship, and many other tournaments, and then also helped organizing some of those tournaments as well for other people. And I think people usually, when they think about debating, they think about like people who like to argue. But I think actually it's quite the opposite. It's more about people who like to listen and find out like what the other person really means, because the way debating is being done and being adjudicated is mainly about engagement. That's like the word we mainly use. So finding out the main like points of contention and then talking specifically about them and finding out what did exactly the other person say about that and what would change their mind about that topic specifically. And I think that kind of mindset is often needed, both in FinOps but at large, because usually people come with their own perception about what's going on in reality, and then they end up talking about two completely different things and not really listen to each other, and then like they can't really get to any agreements. So it might be the case that like the FinOps person tells like an engineer, you could have saved so much money. I had like, why didn't you do it? It wouldn't have taken you so much time. And the engineers tell them something like, but I have my tickets. I listen to my product manager. I can't do those things. And both sides are going to be like, especially if things get a bit of emotional, then it can be a bit challenging. And I think that the key thing in many of those things is find out the incentive structures and find out what really drives people to do things, then finding out who can make those decisions. And I think that's also like, for example, why a lot of my focus when helping organization integrate FinOps like to their processes is about creating accountability across the organization. So I don't think it's necessarily about just like chasing people on Slack, but it's more about making sure that teams feel accountable and creating things that people can agree on and say, I really drive this cost. I'm really the owner of this cost, and therefore I should be the one that looks daily or weekly on the trends, on the opportunities, and finding ways to reduce it. And once you have that, then all of the communication becomes a lot easier. But to get there, usually there are a lot of processes around like agreeing on who really is in charge of what, how you should allocate things like shared costs, etc. And for that, I think that definitely people have to come prepared. And I think maybe if I have like one tip, and I don't think it's like from debating, but I think it's more like about how business is really done, is that whenever you're coming to a meeting where a decision like that needs to be made, let's say meet with a lot of teams and like kind of split ownership on some resource or create a budget and come to an understanding about budgets, always talk to the important stakeholders before that. So make sure you get to a one-on-one agreement, because getting to one-on-one agreement is like a lot easier usually. And once that happens, then the big meeting and the important meetings become kind of like very quick and very easy. And then like you don't really get to all of those disagreements that create like an explosion, and then nothing really happens and things takes months because you can't really reach a consensus about those things. So I think that's definitely the thing to do, both in FinOps but even more largely.